But this thing that Christianity has used, this idea of calling someone saved, someone's a saved person, that's where we end up in the challenge. Because it takes away from the connection between salvation and faith and works. And the idea that salvation is completely free, no argument. It was made available to us by our Messiah at the stake when he died. Actually, it was made available when he was resurrected. Once he overcame death, we had salvation available to us. And that was actually before he even put on flesh, because it says he was slain before the foundation of the world. Listen now, and they're chosen according to the foreknowledge of Elohim the Father, set apart by the Spirit unto obedience. So let's understand, the point of receiving the Ruach is that it's to help you obey. Okay, you weren't set apart by the Ruach to do whatever you wanted. So here it's talking about being born again or being renewed in your mind and thinking a whole different way. Having a different, key word here is expectation. Before you had this understanding, you may have expected just to die. Okay? Hey, eat, drink, and be merry because tomorrow we die. But now you're finding out that there's an expectation through what Messiah Yeshua did that you have now a new thought. Oh, there's an eternal life thing that he provided and a way for me to have that. I think we talked about this in previous parts, that the inheritance is a reward. Now, what he did made that reward possible. So you were born again to an expectation, not a guarantee, an expectation that now you can have access to this expectation of an incorruptible, undefiled, unfading inheritance. Now, if this was all just a matter of making an altar call or just believing in Yeshua that he existed and died and was resurrected or whatever they taught you in the mainstream, why would belief still be a factor? Because belief leads to action. But if action isn't required, why is belief still a factor? Because the action is required. In order that the proving of your belief, now he already told you you're chosen. He already said that you've been separated by the Spirit unto obedience. He's already said that you've been born again into a living expectation. But he also said, but even with all that, for a little while between now and that end time, you may go through a lot of trials. You may go through a bunch of stuff. Some things that are really hard and challenging. He said, just remember, though, there's a reason for it. So we are setting our expectation perfectly upon that merited favor that is to be brought to us at the revelation of Yeshua. That's why we girded up the loins of our mind and acted soberly. Soberly meaning that we're consciously aware, all of our faculties are functioning, and we're making choices. As opposed to drunkenly, where we're not thinking about anything, and we're just so filled with emotion that we're just running off in all directions. We're just being ruled by our desires. I would use the word lust, but everybody thinks sex when I say lust. I don't want you just to limit it to that. Desires, whatever it is you desire. It could be a desire for anything. But when you're drunk on your desires, you're not thinking soberly. I want you to picture, how many of you have seen Fiddler on the Roof? Okay, my favorite scene in the movie is the look on Tevia's face singing If I Were a Rich Man when he's sitting down talking about how he could study the Torah 7 hours every day. That look of pure joy. That's his desire. I'm almost crying thinking about it. Okay? If we could have that joy. I'm just thinking how he just... It wasn't like if I was a rich man, yeah, I'd have a house with a big staircase going up and another one going this way. Yeah, he said all of that too. But he didn't have that look until he said, I could sit and study the Holy Word 7 hours every day. If once saved is always saved, what's there to judge? You're saved, you're done, you're in. There's nothing to do on Judgment Day. What do mainstream Christians, I want to know this, what do mainstream Christians think you're being judged for on Judgment Day if you're saved? I'm really curious. I've never been one, so I don't know. What do they teach? Does anybody know? If you're saved, what is he judging? which nicer hill the house you get is on? I mean, what is he judging? You need to know and pass the time sojourning in fear, knowing that you were redeemed from that futile way of life, futile way of thinking. You were redeemed out of that. You weren't redeemed to now do whatever you want or keep doing what you were doing. You were redeemed to stop doing what you were doing and start doing what he does. The word of Elohim remains forever, and this is the word announced to you as the good news to you. So, the good news is not just Yeshua died and was resurrected. The good news is that everything that was given all the way back to Moses, all the way back to the garden, every bit that came out of Elohim's mouth is relevant and works and is incorruptible and forever.